What's up, guys? We are back with my mid-year top 10, and it's actually going to be 10. I actually got the list down to 10. It was incredibly big, and I'm pretty sure, I'm 99% sure that I'm leaving a bunch of stuff out, because frankly, I am incredibly behind on a lot of stuff this year. I mean, as you probably have noticed if you keep up with the channel, my output has dropped quite a bit lately. A lot of it's because I've been setting up the room down here. So I'm trying to finally get that done, and it's taken up a lot of toy time. Instead of filming, I'm trying to work on this stuff. So that's why Snake Mountain's back here and all of this Motu Classic stuff is back here. But I managed to get a list of 10 figures for the year so far to kind of give me an idea of where I'm going when it comes to what I like right now. And it's kind of a predictable list. I mean, if you've watched my reviews this year, you kind of know mostly what has been the focus. It's been, obviously there's a bunch of Super 7 stuff, a lot of Turtles this year, but there's been some oddball stuff too. So let's just sort of jump into it. And the first one is not an oddball thing for my interest, but it is definitely an oddball thing that actually came out, because we saw the return of Super Sentai Figuarts this year with the Zenkaiza figure from Bandai Tamashi Nations. And not only is this thing, again, the return to Sentai Figuarts, it's probably the best Sentai Figuarts they've ever made. It is updated in every possible way when it comes to articulation. He is kind of lacking when it comes to accessories, but this thing is just fantastic. And really, it's the return to this line. It's so important for me and my collection, and one of the big things that got me back into collecting after a while was Sentai Figuarts. So to see it finally come back just was a huge change of pace, and just a really, really nice thing to see in the sea, literally, of various other Figuarts. Number 9 is probably a figure that I want to say he came out at the end of 2021, right? Probably the Power Rangers Lightning Collection. It's kind of weird to see one of these on my list in general, but Power Rangers Lightning Collection Green Ranger Shredder. This is, I mean, by all accounts, like the best non-monster figure in the line. They did everything right with this figure as far as I'm concerned. The only thing he's missing is a wired cape, and even then his cape is really solid just at face value. Colors look great on him, the overall articulation scheme is fantastic, the helmet is incredibly well done, cool energy effects, and let's face it, Shredder, Green Ranger mashed into one. You're very much playing to my interests as just, you know, a nerdy idiot, so they really had a great foundation for a figure, and they executed on him incredibly well. Number 8 goes to a Super 7 figure, and this is the one that I kind of picked up on when I was reviewing Wave 4 for Thundercats, that I realized that things were starting to take a turn in terms of where the figures were being produced, because of course Wave 1 and 2 were in the old Mattel factory, Waves 3 and 4 were in the new factory, and Monkeyin was like the aha moment for me when I finally got my hands on him. He is an entirely different level of figure than a lot of the stuff I had seen up until that point. He feels great, and that's the big thing. He feels really different. Tremendous sculpt, great details, cool accessories. He's got some great size. The sculpt on the head is incredibly well done. I mean, he looks like he jumped right out of the show. But I'm just a really big fan of this one, and despite the fact that Monkeyin has never been my favorite mutant, he is easily, in this line, my favorite when it comes to the toys. Number 7 is a figure that goes back to Turtles. There's a handful of Turtles related things on this list, although, well, none of them are actually Turtles. But number 7 is a figure that technically still hasn't been released in the States yet, but I got him overseas. Number 7 is the NECA Toys Toon Usagi Yojimbo, and this guy is not just a figure that I really wanted, he's a figure that they absolutely just crushed. Like, he is so, so good. Tiny little rabbit samurai, but I mean, they really knocked him out of the park. Articulation is really strong, sculpt is fantastic, paint is really good. He comes with an awesome cloak that he can wear, comes with some great accessories, and overall, I mean, it's just another instance of them absolutely nailing that cartoon aesthetic, and he works so well in and out of this line, but they did a fantastic job with this little guy. I am really, really, really happy to finally have him, but then of course for him to be so good is kind of like icing on the cake. Number 6 takes us to Hasbro, and we're going to the G.I. Joe Classified line, and this is the beginning of that wave that sort of came out and then it just disappeared for a long time, but the wave with Storm Shadow in particular is a super, super strong wave, and he in particular is easily one of the best figures in the line. Probably my favorite figure in the entire line right now. Maybe I could go with the Cobra Bat just because I love those so much, but Storm Shadow is fantastic. He is literally just like a really solid ninja figure that happens to also be Storm Shadow. So like I said in the review about 50 times, if you just, acetone that Cobra logo off, you got yourself a really cool ninja too. But he comes with awesome accessories, fantastic articulation, and again, they just truly nailed his overall look. Number 5 takes us back to NECA, which in general for me this year, it's been only turtle stuff for NECA, with a few things here and there, but it's been a pretty turtley year for NECA for me. And number 5 is Antrax, specifically Antrax from, that Scumbug 2-pack. Scumbug is a great figure, don't get me wrong, but Antrax is probably like the best Turtles figure I think we've gotten so far in the Toon line. He is by all accounts a perfect representation of that ridiculously goofy character. The weird articulation scheme in particular just kind of edges him out over Usagi for me in particular. I think the overall color scheme is great. He's really, really big and bulky, but in a really weird way. And then of course, they absolutely killed the idea of having a 4-armed character. We've seen multi-armed, well, most figures are multi-armed, but 4-armed characters in the past, and usually they aren't done all that well. This one is really nicely done. It's implemented very well. His crazy long torso definitely helps that situation, but he's a fantastic figure that, once I got him out of the box, I knew it was like, this is the one. Number 4 takes us back to Bandai Tamashi Nations, and a figure that kind of broke one of my rules when it comes to collecting import stuff, because I don't think I really ever do any kind of army building with any kind of Bandai Tamashi Nation stuff because it's kind of expensive. But they released a Ground Gundam this year, and I found myself with a small little squad. And that was very much not what I was planning on doing. But when I got a hold of one, I was like, well, this guy needs to have more, and then we know the Easy 8's coming, and the Gof is coming later on, so it's just everything about the 08MS team has been sort of crammed into 2022, and I think they did a tremendous job with the base figure, with the backpack, and like the elevator system that it has, but all the accessories that it comes with, not to mention the ton of accessory packs they're making for these, which is separate from the figure, but the overall idea and what they're trying to build just based off of this one particular awesome type of Gundam figure is a huge thing for me when it comes to Robot Spirits, and this is easily one of my favorite Gundams from one of my favorite shows, so to see it executed so well was also a nice bonus. Number 3 sticks with Bandai Tamashi Nations, and we're going to Dragon Ball for the first time, and it was going to be Krillin. It was going to be Krillin, and honestly, at the end of the year, it probably could still be Krillin, but this guy, he finally came out here. He could have and should have been on a 2021 list, but he got delayed. Is Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Let's be honest, he is still the coolest Goku version, period. Super Saiyan 4, no matter what you think of GT, I will hear no arguments on how cool Super Saiyan 4 is. It's just a cool form, and it works incredibly well when it comes to an action figure. That's really what it comes down to. Awesome design translated into an incredibly nicely done figure that of course is starting us down the path to getting GT stuff, which again, think what you want about GT. There's a lot of cool stuff in that line, and I'm really happy that we finally started to go that way, and that Goku was of course the first choice. Number 2 is taking us back to Hasbro, and this is one of those figures that he's definitely not technically better than a lot of these other figures. He's technically probably not better than any of them, but nostalgia plays a big part in pretty much everything I collect, everything I buy, and the stuff that I kind of favor. Not to mention the fact that this figure in particular holds a special place for me because I got to do the first hands-on review of him. So of course I'm talking about Marvel Legends Speedball, and what can I say? I love this guy. It's one of those things, I have a weird goofy attachment to this character. I've always really liked him since I was a kid, and he's just been something that we've needed in this line. He was never going to be a hard figure for them to produce. It was just a matter of when, and when is finally now. So I'm really happy that we're getting a hold of him. He doesn't come with any accessories, so like I said in the review, he's not perfect, but he's a really solid interpretation of Speedball. That head sculpt is fantastic, that crazy shock of hair that he's got, the goggles, and of course the colors were just incredibly well done. I think he's a fantastic figure. He does need some effects, which I'm definitely going to have to deal with on my own, but I'm really happy to finally have a Speedball, to have gotten that opportunity to do that first hands-on review, and then of course to flesh out my new Warriors. And then last but not least, we are going back to Super 7 and back to Thundercats, and you might know where this is going, but you actually might not, because I always say that Tigra is my favorite Thundercat. He's always like my favorite Thundercats character, but that figure definitely has some problems, so he is not on this list. Number one for me is and was probably always going to be Ever-Living Mum-Ra from Wave 2, because I mean it's literally the Mum-Ra figure that I've wanted for years and years and years. I know some folks had some issues with theirs when it comes to like some issues with the cape peg on the back or the snakes on the headdresses. Mine looks fantastic. I'm really happy with the finished product. I love the colors. This guy is basically an articulated version of the statue the Four Horsemen did years and years and years ago, and I always said if we never got an articulated Mum-Ra the Ever-Living, I have a statue version at the very least. But now I can finally replace that with a really nicely done figure, great size, awesome soft goods cape. The Sword of Plundar is massive and over the top and ridiculous, and I just love everything about this guy. He absolutely rounds out a really solid group of villains so far. We have all the core mutants now. You know, we're still waiting on Vulture-Man. We have the core mutants, and then we have Mum-Ra. So we've kind of got the makings of two small groups of Thundercats that if you really had to, you could probably say you were done at this point. I'm definitely not anywhere near done, but Mum-Ra is definitely a huge stepping stone to being more and more complete when it comes to this line, and I think Super 7 and of course the Horsemen just did a fantastic job with him. So yeah, that's my list for now. Again, like I said, I am certain I'm missing something. Like, I'm almost positive I'm missing some stuff. But I've really got a handle on what I've really enjoyed this year so far. And of course, it's been a lot of Thundercat stuff. It's been a lot of Turtles. But Hasbro has had handfuls of really good offerings this year as well. Bandai has had some really solid offerings this year. And I'm really looking forward to pretty much everything else we've got coming this year, and likely going to be just demolishing this list when it comes time to make the end of the year list. Or we'll just do like last year and have, I don't know, 22 entries this year. So that's my list for now. That'll probably change by the time I'm done editing this video, but let me know what you guys think of this list, and let me know what you guys think of the best figures this year so far. I'll catch you next time.